Dear friends, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation and thank you for your attention. We all know that water is the blue soul of life. That is why tackling the paradox of the global water crisis on the water planet, the blue planet, with more than 2 billion people without guaranteed access to safe drinking water and more than 4 billion without basic sanitation, is one of the key challenges of the 21st century. With SDG6, on which many of the other goals of the 2030 agenda depend, we are committed to addressing this challenge. We have passed the halfway point of the deadline we set ourselves, but we are barely a quarter of the way there. Picking up the pace depends on us, on all of us. Although, logically, those who have the longest stride, because they have the most resources, have also the greatest responsibility. As the UN Special Rapporteur on the human rights to safe drinking water and sanitation, I dare to propose 3 key points in this regard. First, effectively empower those who have the greatest interest in and commitment to promoting these human rights, women and girls, who in fact suffer the worst consequences of the lack of drinking water and sanitation and bear the greatest responsibilities for the care and provision of their families and communities. The second, make peace with our rivers and aquatic ecosystems, following the example of indigenous peoples and all those who care for, respect, and defend nature. Because only by restoring the health of the rivers and aquifers on which the lives of all depend, and in particular the most impoverished, we will make real progress in guaranteeing drinking water to those 2.2 billion impoverished people who do not have it guaranteed. And third, finally, assume the necessary public funding to face the public health challenge posed by climate change and pandemics as a democratic challenge in which water and sanitation is a cornerstone. A democratic challenge in which no one must be left behind. As the pandemic, in fact, is teaching us. Today, the virus has laid bare our vulnerability and has made us better understand from this experience of vulnerability the need to strengthen our public health systems and in particular to guarantee the necessary investments in water and sanitation as the cornerstone of public health. We should not forget that the greatest social risks derived from climate change are generated around water, which should lead us to promote the hydrological transition as the axis of adaptation strategies, just as the energy transition is assumed as the axis of mitigation strategies, insofar as the energy vector is the main generator of greenhouse gases. Fortunately, today the public health crisis and the economic crisis are not being tackled with the so-called austerity strategies that were imposed on us in 2008. Today, significant public funds have been activated and are being prepared not only to address the pandemic, but also the post-pandemic economic revival in what is called the Green New Deal of the 21st century. We must ask ourselves what place public health, including water and sanitation services, has in today's world and in the world of the 21st century, after the lessons of the current pandemic. If we understand that we are facing a democratic challenge at all levels, local, national, and global, and not a business opportunity, a significant part of these public funds available to promote the Green New Deal of the 21st century will be used to strengthen our public health systems and to promote the necessary investments in water and sanitation, I insist once again, as the cornerstone of public health. This will undoubtedly allow us to finance the achievement of SDG6, paying special attention and priority to the most impoverished and the people living in the most vulnerable conditions through local governments and community authorities who are often responsible for managing these services. Thank you very much.